Why is the operation conducted on a hospital to kill a Hamas terrorist a war crime? Special forces, no matter what country, are trained in unconventional warfare. If that means being disguised as a doctor or a nun or whatever to reach and execute a target, then it is what it is. Two things. One, once a Hamas combatant is in a hospital getting treated, they are no longer a combatant. What is it like? There's a term for it that I'm not gonna say correctly now. It's like hors d'oeuvre. It's not hors d'oeuvre, but what is it like? Hors de combat or something? I don't fucking know. It just means that they're not in combat. Okay. So that's number one. You can't you can't amuse bouche. No, there's a term for it, man. There's a fucking hors de combat. Yeah, which is so funny. Anyway, yeah. Hors d'oeuvres, the hors d'oeuvres in combat. Okay, that's what it means. Hors d'oeuvres. No, it's just fuck. We'll just do this. Well, I'll just blast off and we'll talk about it. Okay. Yeah. The other part of the war crime thing is that you can't dress up as a medical professional to assassinate someone. I can't believe I have to say this. Like, I think a lot of people who watch like Mission Impossible and all these movies and stuff, so they think like, oh no, what do you mean? Like, hello? The good guy always dresses up as like a doctor to go assassinate someone, and it's like, no, dude, that's like super illegal. What do you mean? That's just so stupid. You can't like the real life and rules of engagement in the real world are not like Jack Bauer, dude. Anyway, but is Pokimane quitting Twitch? Yeah, my this is why I'm a variety guy, okay? Is Pokimane quitting Twitch? Israel war crimes. um they weren't not confirmed Hamas and part of the Jenin Brigade. Weren't they not confirmed Hamas? No, it doesn't matter if they're Hamas or not. Like there is no magical like, oh well, these guys are Hamas, so like we can just kill them when they're like in a hospital bed. Like it doesn't it like there's no situation where you're just like, oh, we're gonna go fucking kill these guys in the hospital when they're like, as far as I understand, they were, at least according to the BBC reporting on it, Israel has claimed that these guys were like active terrorists who were interested in blowing shit up or whatever, and then but BBC's own reporting said that they were, one of them had like a spinal injury. Like one of the dudes they killed in the bed, which you can see in the videos, is like straight up executed. Like there's blood on the pillow. Why do you think you know so much about Hamas and Israel? I don't think I know that much. I think I know more than like the average American, especially the average American that claims to know. But yeah, there's like fucking chunks of his skull inside of the pillow. It's like pretty wild.
The question is,
why the FBI wants this TikToker? Ooh, what is this? Okay, I'll watch it. Damn, the crazies are out early. Prove that Hamas aren't using civilians as meat shields. Yeah. Okay, let's let me just blast off and then we'll get into it. We'll duke it out. Is Pokimane quitting Twitch? Brandon says he'll retaliate for troop deaths and more. Variety later. Any comment on the Kmart chairs? What's the Kmart chair? God, I love being such a dumb Twitch streamer, especially like one that covers the news, I guess. So I'm in this like unique predicament where people will just be like, can you give me a comment on this? And it's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, why am I, maybe I shouldn't give comments on things like that. The Kmart chairs is about you, little bro. What? Okay. I already put two and two together. It's the I've had it ladies probably talking shit about the chairs, which they're valid. They're so valid. They're so valid for that. They're so real for that. The right thinks Travis Kelsey is a psyop. All right. How about Elon chipping humans now? Yeah, I saw that. And honestly, fuck it. YOLO. Like zombie apocalypse. You know what I mean? Great. We look at how awful we look at how awful X, formerly known as Twitter, is run. And then we're like, yeah, this guy should definitely chip people's brains. You know what I mean? Masterful Gambit, sir. Thank you for defending my freedom, my lord. Keep corrupting my mind, Azan. Fuck it. Zombie apocalypse. YOLO. The end is near, chat. Says Violent Waves. Resubbing for 37 months. And is correct. You know, the end times are upon us. The end times are upon us. Okay? I'll tell you this much. Okay? First of all, oh yeah, UPS is cutting 12,000 jobs. Great. That's another awful thing that we got to talk about as well. But did I see Kai lose 300k to 21 Savage in a challenge? Yes, I did. That's insane. I don't understand how people operate like that. 300,000, like everybody was like betting on it apparently. Pulling him into my leg.
Yeah, like, everything you're doing in your
this hurts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ow.
Let me try. I've never done this before.
This is gonna be good. Yeah.
I almost hit him with my.
Why are you doing this?
I wish you would treat me like that.
Why would they do that? I thought this was a guy for the people. And now I see video evidence of him hurting this poor innocent old man. Like some zero-sum capitalistic piggy.
Dude, he's a business owner. What do you mean? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm defeating business owners in combat. Like, what are you talking about? Isn't that like the whole point? Isn't that what we should be doing? Practicing what I preach, baby. Just kidding. I know people will take this seriously. I did not know that it was going to be like that.
Less than 3.
Taking out the competition. Oh, I have a lot of thoughts on Avatar too. I have a lot of thoughts on Avatar with Sokka being woke. I'm actually kind of mad about this fucking pronouns style shit. Okay, I got some fucking pronouns style takes here. Okay, so I will be going fucking pronouns mode, gender ambiguity mode in a brief moment. Where do I begin? What should I start off with? I guess let's start off with the most important news story of the day. The most important news story of the day is Pokemon quitting Twitch. What's happening? What's happening there? Why is that a thing? Well, it turns out of Pokemon here, blast it off, by the way. Let the people know. Your skiing QRT ruined my lunch break. That shit got me so mad. Oh yeah, I forgot. We'll talk about the racist stuff too. Talk about the hospital, please. Out of nowhere, she's been doing 20 hours a month tops for like 8 months. I mean, okay, but there's a difference, I feel like, of just like greatly lowering the hours that you are putting into one form of content creation and just like full-blown divesting from the process. You know what I mean? Please talk about the ICJ. Guys, I will talk about all of it. I talked about the ICJ. Oh my God. Every morning I start and I'm like, we're going to do a run of show and I'm going to go through like content in the way that I want to go through it. And every morning we got hella people in the chat going, no, you have to, you must. It's 35 minutes in. You just blast it off. Like normally in the runner show, we got 10 minutes of intro screen. Then I give you a little bit of updates on my life about my personal news for the parasocialists. Then I oftentimes, start talking about the news after I blast off. Okay. I'm going to talk about all these things. right? I'm going to talk about all these things that you want me to talk about. I promise. Just, chill out. We're going to get to it. You need to start going full dictator mode? No. Will you watch your latest vlog? Yeah, we'll watch it. Please do a meta commentary about the state of showcasing content in a Twitch stream. Yeah, no. News frogs are the worst of all. News frogs are my major source of income, okay? And also, let's be real. Beyond that, I myself am a news frog. I spend every waking moment thinking about the news. One thing I will tell you before we get to the Pokemon stuff, or maybe it's actually kind of related to the Pokemon stuff of her quitting Twitch. One thing I will say is this, okay? This morning is a beautiful morning. It's 71 degrees out, okay? It's sunny. I go to the dog park. I go to the park, okay? I walk around with Kaya. I touch grass, right? Okay? I touch the grass on the dog park. I play a little bit of basketball, right? I get a little bit of cardio in. Everything feels good. But there's this like lingering feeling of like anxiety and I wouldn't say anger, but it's just like I have this like feeling that it just something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel all right. Something feels bad. And then I realized it's because I tweeted this. And usually I'm like pretty good at not getting upset at like the insanity. Okay. But I guess it just like still impacts me in some ways. I will admit it still impacts me in some ways. Matt Walsh tweeted about Ilhan Omar. Okay. Ilhan Omar said, for your information, Somali people are called Somalis, not Somalians. If you're going to talk about us, at least try to get our ethnicity right. Thank you. To which Matt Walsh said, cool, go back to Somalia and you'll never have to worry about the people using the wrong term again. 45,000 likes. And I was like, that's crazy. This is just pure unadulterated racism against the U.S. Congresswoman sitting at 34K likes at the time. Now it's at 45K likes. Okay. Which, Twitter is a cesspool of just absolutely the worst kind of racism, especially when it comes to like Muslim people. Ilhan Omar is like a target, right? No matter what. She has consistently been attacked. People constantly like they'll mistranslate what she's saying. They'll attack her. They'll say like she's I got scared. No, I don't want her to like bite herself or lick herself. Anyway, yeah. Kaya. Good girl. I got worried. I thought she was licking her teat, but she wasn't. I thought she was licking her teat, but she was not doing that. I was worried though for a brief moment because she's not supposed to. Is she on any meds? No. She's fine. She's perfectly fine. She is she's like fake pregnant. She's not actually pregnant, but she's not supposed to lick her nipples. So people have like often lied about Ilhan Omar, as I was saying. They've said that she's like married her brother, blah blah blah, like all this stuff. And it's really worrisome. It's really shitty, and it's really shitty for two reasons. One, because like this level of pure unadulterated racism is completely permissible in like mainstream discourse from the Republican side, and even the liberals, like in my opinion, don't engage with it enough to defend Ilhan Omar because they themselves are also ridiculously aggro against her too. And it is deeply frustrating to me, especially. I hate it. I hate it so much. Okay. I remember people did the go home racism when I was a kid. The more tragic than you think. It just goes to show nothing has moved on, nothing has changed. Yeah, I get the go home shit all the time. It's really, really stupid. Like nonstop. I get it nonstop, right? And even when you think, and I've been getting it from liberals like nonstop recently, but even when you think that that it's not going to impact you or upset you, it still, I guess it still like lingers on in the back of your mind, where it's like there's like a otherization that is accompanying this, where it's just like, fuck you, you're like, you don't belong here, you're like lesser, you know what I mean? And obviously I'm not, and neither is Ilhan Omar. The other problem here is that people will like go to these lengths to defend even the likes of Matt Walsh. The problem is that she was being an irredentist Somali nationalist in that video. Okay, call her the N-word. Okay, call her the N-word. I'm a Somalilander. I don't give a shit what you are. That, in the eyes of Matt Walsh, being a Somalilander or being Somali is not, you know, is not any different. Okay, there is no world in which like you can't comprehend this. A lot of people, weirdly enough, don't recognize it. Okay, like, what do you mean? That is not the argument to Ilhan Omar's sentiments about Somaliland. Okay, do you understand? The argument, the counter is not, to go, well, you know, I'm going to call you the N-word now, or I'm going to tell you should go back to Africa. Okay, this is not a response to whatever Ilhan Omar said. Do you understand? No, Fossabot clapped. Fossabot clapped the Somalilander. Okay. No, for the chatters that don't understand what's going on, the reason why Mahad Hurs is saying this about Ilhan Omar is because of the original clip. Okay, the original clip that came out. Somaliland and Somalia are different. Okay, there is a ongoing conflict. I'm not even going to get into the major details here. The point is that a clip came out of Ilhan Omar talking about Somalia and Somaliland, I believe, right? And yes, it is a breakaway state. But that's not the point. I'm not even talking about that. Okay? I'm not talking about what Ilhan Omar's statements are. Okay? What I'm talking about specifically is the retaliation to that should not be to claim that you are not a real American. Okay? Like, the retaliation to that is not, you're not a real American, go back to Africa. A person that says that, okay, a person that says that to Ilhan Omar does not give a fuck about the distinction, okay, on whether or not Somalia is engaging in irredentist actions or not. Does that make sense? Do you understand? That person does not give a fuck. Sometimes liberals will act like they care about these distinctions and justify racism. This is racist no matter what she said. Okay? Feel me? It would be like you saying it to Candace Owens because she's a white supremacist. Yeah. Like, there is no reason not to, like, you can always argue with your congresspersons. You can have difference in opinion with your congresspersons. Okay? This is perfectly valid. There is, however, a difference between that and Matt Walsh turning around and just being like, go back to Somalia. Okay? That's just pure unadulterated racism. This is not, there is no thing that like Ilhan Omar can say. There is nothing that Ilhan Omar can say that thinks that this is like, this makes it permissible or appropriate. A U.S. Congresswoman who has publicly proclaimed that she is Somali first and her main priority is to protect the interests of Somalians. If you can't see a problem with that, then you're dumber than I thought. She deserves to be arrested, expelled from Congress at a minimum. Wait, what? Anyway, I think there was here's the point I was going to make. It wasn't even about Ilhan Omar. It's about the same fucking energy and the same vibes, okay? Here it is. It's not appropriate. That's not what I was saying. No. I know what you were saying. You were saying Ilhan Omar is being a piece of shit for her sentiment about Somaliland, is what you were saying. Okay, I understand that, but we're not talking about that currently. We're talking about a irrelevant reaction that has nothing to do with Ilhan Omar's statements and everything to do with Matt Walsh being a racist piece of shit and trying to elevate more racist sentiment. Okay, more trying to just do racism as commentary, and the ways in which a lot of people try to engage in post hoc rationalizations for why their racism is actually a substitute for good critique. Okay, he's actually right though. She said it first. It's so I see no lie in what he said. My entire quote retweets is literally filled to the brim with people being like, yeah, you're gonna get fucking, we're gonna cook you too, you're next, like you're next, you're getting deported next. Like, this is Shaniqua posting delusions, which is a straight up white supremacist account. No, you can't tell Somali nationalists to go back to Somalia. 9,000 likes. What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? That's just a straight up Klansman, brother. Now, my point was this. It's not, I'm not even talking about like what she said or criticisms of what she said. I'm talking about America, okay? I'm talking about the United States of America and the way that like one of the major social media platforms on the United States of America is so unimaginably openly fucking racist. Holy moly. Okay? Holy moly. There are varying degrees. There are varying degrees of like pervertry. You are also the poster child of needing to leave Turk. I refuse to be lectured about racism by someone who hates white people. Okay? It's just like all this shit. It's crazy. We're sending you back with her. Time to brush up on your Somali. This is where we're at. The loud, ignorant minority. It is, I don't know. Like, if you scroll down, it's like this. Twitch star is not banned for alleged racist slur live on stream. The racist slur is cracker, by the way. Like, bro, you can't even report racist people on the site. That's what I mean. Like, it's this is not a substitute. Like, there's no world in which, for example, let's say I'm debating Candace Owens. Okay? Candace Owens is a white supremacist. I would never call her the N-word, okay? And then turn around and be like, well, guess what? I was actually making an argument about her white supremacy. Like, that's an insane thing to say. It doesn't work like that. You know? Hassan, coping hard with no actual arguments. It's crazy isn't an argument. You're not arguing with anything of substance. You're coping so hard. Brother, there is no argument to someone telling a black Somali Muslim refugee, now American congressperson, to go back to Africa. What is the argument there? If you don't consider that to be racist, you are racist as well. There is no reason to like try and debate you and challenge your position, because what is the source? There is no, like, what is the premise? The premise is you think that someone, okay, you think that someone is personally more invested, okay, in what? Somalia and Somali people than American people, okay? Which, by the way, a lot of our constituents also are from Somalia. So what the fuck are we talking about there? There is no, she's putting Africa above her American constituents. Okay? You're not like, you're trying to personally make an argument that then justifies your racist narrative in this situation. Okay? Africa. Yeah, she's putting Africa above America, brother. Do you think you would get less hate if you weren't of Turkish descent? I'm assuming you still have the exact same values now. Probably not. Calling me racist isn't going to debunk my argument, which is my point towards you. Your argument is ridiculous. She is a U.S. congressperson. A U.S. congressperson represents their constituents. Some of their constituents that have family members in Somalia, even if they are themselves Somali or not, doesn't fucking matter, are going to make certain statements. I'm not even arguing with the statement that she made. I don't even know what she exactly said. But if she is talking about like, the entire region where Somalis live is once again going to be greater Somalia, including like parts of Ethiopia or whatever, that is an argument that you can deal with on its own virtue. You can say that's irredentist. I don't agree with that. That is actually unacceptable. But to say that like this person is not a real American, not a real US congressperson, has dual loyalty, this sort of stuff, that is racist. And let me further elevate the conversation and maybe take it to a different place, okay? That perhaps other people will be able to understand. Okay? People that defend Israel are not engaging in dual loyalty. I do not make this argument. I don't say, oh, well, why do you care more about Israel? You must be, in the pocket of Israel in the sense that, like, you are literally like, you have dual loyalty. You care more about Israel than you care about America. Putting Israel's interests above the interests of Americans, okay, is done at the behest of American foreign policy. It's not done because someone is like secretly an agent for Israel. Does that make sense? The new alt-right playbook video dropped today, relevant to this discussion. Anyway, so you're arguing with emotions and no prep of what the topic is? What are you talking about? Calling me racist is not going to debunk my argument. Brother, her sentiment is totally separate from this point of from this conversation. Okay? Her takes are entirely irrelevant to this conversation. You want to know why? Because people that say go back to Africa, or people that say go back to Somali, fuck you, you're not a real American. When they say that to someone like Ilhan Omar, they're not just talking about Ilhan Omar. They're talking about every black person, which Matt Walsh has absolutely said to other black people as well. So this is something that you need to recognize. There is no way to like debate around this issue. Okay? Like, she can have bad opinions. She can have opinions that you disagree with. But to say, well, her loyalty lies only with Somalis and no one else, not her constituents, not America, you're just a racist piece of shit. She's a U.S. congresswoman, okay? You might not agree with her, but the notion that she does not care about her constituents is wrong. She has time and time again won her reelection campaigns, okay? She's time and time again won her reelections. And on top of that, her constituents seem to like her, okay? She is pushed for lunch programs, school lunch programs. She's pushed to defend trans people. And as a part of her duty as a congressperson, she has also done a lot as far as criticizing American foreign policy. She not only defends her constituents, she also defends other people that are outside of her immediate district with by being one of the very few people that actually does legitimately criticize U.S. foreign policy. Okay? There is no argument you can make in this situation. Like, we jokingly talk, for the record, when we talk about Ted Cruz, for example, okay? And we say, go back to Canada to Ted Cruz. Or when we talk about, like, why don't you, that's a better argument that you could try to make. If you wanted to, like, actually catch me with a gotcha, I could explain to you the differences between someone who's a refugee from Somalia versus someone who voluntarily came to the United States of America after, an immigration process or whatever from another first world nation that is directly aligned and has, like, is a part of the OECD structure and is an American ally, and how that is like a joke that you can make, like the differences between white people versus non-white people, for example, one being the dominant in-group that has the power versus the out-group that does not. But I don't think you care about all that stuff. I think you just specifically wanted to be racist and now want to argue on why that racism is somehow permissible and should be permissible. This is not a good substitute. So Nancy Pelosi gets a pass telling Asians to go back to China. First of all, Nancy Pelosi didn't tell Asians to go to China. She told, it's even funnier, a Jewish lady from San Francisco to go back to China. And I literally criticized her yesterday. Okay? Yes, Nancy Pelosi is a piece of shit. I do not agree with Nancy Pelosi. And I think she's fucking insane. You are not making a good argument. Okay? Why do you think I am pro Nancy Pelosi? I missed that stream. Good on you for criticizing her. Yes, it's because you've been following since yesterday. The day that you followed is the day that I criticized Nancy Pelosi, but also I criticized her on Twitter as well. The notion that I'm like this petulant lib who, no matter what, defends the Democratic Party is silly. Okay? You followed on the stream that I shit on Nancy Pelosi for saying that, by the way. Anyway, defending trans law, such a soft group of people that need defending. That's great. Nice, man. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, trans people definitely don't need defending. They're not marginalized in this country. Okay. You are Nancy's strongest soldier. Yes, Nancy Pelosi wants you to watch the ads at the top of the hour. I don't. That's why I'm telling you, you should subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get one free Prime subscription a month. We are so back. What a stun lock. This is one of the worst aspects, in my opinion. This is one of the worst aspects of like talking about these issues. I wanted to briefly just like touch on the Matt Walsh take and how people try to justify that kind of commentary, which is just pure unadulterated racist bullshit with like, well, actually, it's kind of valid because I don't agree with what Ilhan Omar was saying. And Ilhan Omar was like, you know, saying something bad and wrong, which is why we can just be, you know, racist towards her. That conversation is ridiculous. Okay. And not only is that conversation ridiculous, thank you 34MKD50 for the 50 get the subs. Not only is that conversation ridiculous, but it also takes a shit ton of like it takes an emotional toll on I think not just myself, but I assume many other fresh off the boat immigrants in this community. Not saying that I'm a fob immigrant myself. I'm an anchor baby, right? But ultimately, like the notion that you know, you should just go back to your own country no matter what is a ridiculously racist principle that does not seriously apply to like any white people. No one is telling Trump to go back to his own country. An example I use with great frequency is the notion that like Donald Trump, for example, is more of an American than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is, when AOC's family has been American citizens for significantly longer than Donald Trump has. Donald Trump's family lineage spans back to his grandfather. His grandfather is the one who came to the United States of America. Okay? AOC's been in the country for much longer. Okay? AOC's family has been American citizens for many more generations than Donald Trump. But in the eyes of Americans, AOC is less of an American than Donald Trump is, because they're fucking racist. That's the whole point. That's the point. That's the entire point, is that like, oh, if you're brown, doesn't matter how long you've been here, you know, you're not a real American. Okay? It's gross. MAGA doesn't care about generations. Yeah, well, my point is that the underlying assumption that you are not a real American, even if you're an American citizen, okay? The underlying assumption that you are not a real American, even if you are an American citizen, even if your family members have been American citizens for many, many generations, is racist. That's it. You can try to square that circle as hard as you want with additional post hoc rationalizations as to why, like, this commentary is actually totally permissible, totally valid. But ultimately, what you're doing is, you know, alienating a lot more people that recognize that this is what you're doing is racist. You probably don't give a shit about it, but it's not really an argument that you can make, and you shouldn't make it. Okay? Anyway, moving on from that. The girl that broke down job hunting for later. Okay. Being a member of diaspora is such a mindfuck, especially Somali diaspora. People left not because they wanted better opportunities, but because they wanted to survive. Somalis are very proud and always speak about going back and helping rebuild, but they don't. Most second-gen diaspora stay in the countries they sought asylum in. My name is Hassan. My family has been in America since like the 40s. What you think people think when I tell them my name? I mean, I know what people think when you tell them your name. They think the same shit when I tell them my name. So you've been shitting on Nancy for years?
No, send me fucking emails like Nancy Pelosi. Stop sending me emails, man. You fucking dumbass. I'm never going to give you money. I hate you, okay? You're such a piece of shit. You're literally making me not want to ever fucking vote Democrat ever again. Jesus Christ, bro. Every time something happens, dude, I swear to God, every Democratic staffer is just like rock hard. Oh my God, did they fucking take away abortion rights from women? I am so fucking hard right now. I could cut a diamond, okay? My nipples are rock hard right now. Holy fuck. Time to do a mass blast of emails. Hey, I know times are tough right now. I know inflation is fucking sky high. But guess what? You should probably give us more money. You should give me, Nancy Pelosi, like 100 millionaire who has the most prolific, best fucking analyst on the entire planet, best stock trader on the entire planet, Paul Pelosi, right at her fucking heel, and you want more money from everybody, dude. You know, send me fucking... There is no... I want to end it with this, okay? There is no justification to tell someone to go back to their own country if they're in the United States of America. Okay, if you had a white name, people would definitely be more charitable to you. James and Joseph Monroe, brothers from Dallas, Texas, white Republicans of Texas Coalition. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, that's me. My point is, there is no justification for saying go back to your own country. Okay, that's just not how it works. Yeah, it kind of feels like when people say Jewish people are secretly backstabbing / have dual loyalty on the principle of being Jewish and having nothing to do with the state of Israel, even before Israel's founding, it's othering the person perceived to be different. Yeah. Also, it's not Jewish people that have loyalty to Israel, okay? It's most Americans. And it's not loyalty to Israel on the sake of Israel. It's loyalty to American imperialism. So, ridiculous. Anyway. They always keep rerunning their lies. Obama's birth certificate or Hillary Clinton having epilepsy. Yeah. It's like seeing those videos of people telling Native Americans to go back to their country. Yeah, it's beyond that. It's like telling someone to go back to their country isn't just like wrong if that person is a Native American or, you know, a black person that was like brought here, or his parents, great grandparents were brought here with the slave trade. Okay. America is built on the foundational principle of immigration. Okay. Unlimited immigration. The notion that like some immigrants get told to go back to their own country as a substitute for like a more racist opinion is just the truth. That's how it's ridiculous. The part of the problem isn't that well, Ilhan Omar's a refugee, right? Versus like someone else that is an African descendant of slaves is like has been here for generations. Like it's not about like how long you've been here. If you're here, you're an American. That's it. Okay? You chose to be here. The fuck are we talking about? You chose to be here. What do you mean? You worked harder to be here than the dumb fuck that was just born here and took it for granted his whole life. I'm sorry. It's a ridiculous notion. Ilhan Omar's worked infinitely harder than this disgusting little cretin to be in the United States of America. Okay? As a refugee from Somalia, she has worked infinitely harder to be in America. The notion that she is un-American or hates America or hates her own constituents and should go back to her own country is just simply racist. It's just purely racist nonsense. So anyone that tries to act like Matt Walsh gives a single shit about Ethiopia or Somaliland is ridiculous, okay? I guess for me, it's just like something that I hear so much from liberals and conservatives alike, especially conservatives, but even liberals recently, as I've like talked about American foreign policy more and more frequently with respect to Israel. It's gross. It's disgusting. And it does end up, I guess, impacting me in ways that I wish it didn't. That was my moment of honesty. And it took an hour because I had to like deviate and have to like defend the position that saying go back to Africa is actually racist to a chatter that wanted to be like, actually, this is a real valid argument. Like, it fucking sucks. Anyway. Holy shit, dude. Jesus Christ. All right. Immigrants put up with imperial units after coming to America from their civilized countries. That's enough effort in my book. I was watching the CNN 1982 interview of a KKK Imperial Wizard this morning, and guess what his idea for Africans who were complaining about segregation? You got it. Yep. No, it's just, yeah, they got one trick, dude. They got one note, and that is just racism. And it's so funny because it always is the same, and it always devolves into the same thing. It's like, go back to your own country, or talking about diversity. That's the new one, by the way. That's the new fun one. Is just straight up. It turns out the new substitute for the N word is diversity. Okay. Lauren Witzke is a white nationalist, and she posted this on January 27th. Okay. She said, diversity hit the slopes. Okay. Which is really great, because when she just put this pure unadulterated white supremacist nonsense out there, what happened? Well, Twitter happened. Immediately, they found out, and I didn't know this either. We all found out that she literally got arrested for like possession of heroin and methamphetamines. Okay. Like everyone was eating her ass alive, being like, oh, wow, that's great. So what's up with your, your charges of being a fucking Nazi meth head? Okay. But that didn't stop her. 2 days later, she's back talking about diversity on said slopes. And then she posts like a wipeout of a dude attempting a sick ass trick too, which is so funny. Like, anyway, I said to that, white supremacy has to be some kind of brain issue, because she's still posting about black people skiing after the entire timeline found out she was arrested for meth and heroin possession. Yeah, it's such a lovely photo too. Where is it? Where the fuck did it go? Where was the original tweet that I was at? Oh, yeah. White supremacy has to be some kind of brain issue, because the entire timeline found out that she was arrested for meth and heroin possession on the first tweet's QRTs. I said, like, take a day off, lady. She has no refractory period for being racist. Okay? You shouldn't be worried about them slopes. Possession of heroin, possession of methamphetamine. In Bradley County, Tennessee, baby. And it's just it's so weird. Like, you're such a fucking weirdo. And honestly, here's the thing. This is how racism operates, okay? You're a pathetic. You are a pathetic fucking worm, right? Your life is a sequence of L's. L after L after L after L that you have taken. But there is an underlying mythology that your dumbass, racist, inbred, hick parents have force-fed to you. And that mythology is alluring, because in the real world, you're like, my shit sucks. I got arrested driving under the influence and was found to be possessing methamphetamine and heroin, right? Like, that shit sucks. My life is dog shit. But if I close my eyes and believe the notion that, like, white people are superior to all other races, and if I consistently reinforce this racist mythology, then I'll feel better. It's pure copium. Okay? That's how it works. White supremacy works in this way. It is just a way for you to shift responsibilities, and instead of like engaging in some level of self-reflection and self-improvement, it causes you to go, no, but I'm just like still better than like non-whites, right? Like, I'm still better than black people, right? That's how white supremacy works. That's how racism works. Okay? That's it. It's pure copium for fucking losers. Aptal herif, Türkçe konuşsana. Oğlum sen Türk değil misin? Allah Allah, küfür etme, saçma sapan sallıyorsun milleti. Nasıl bir insansın sen? Aptal herif, sen ırkçısın. Bro, you're racist. Yeah. You have to be. Bir hafta bir kendine gelirsin artık. 7 gün sonra görüşürüz. Öpüyorum. So, like I said, it's just you only engage in this kind of behavior. You only engage in this kind of behavior if you're just like perfectly fucked up. Okay? Like and this is yet another perfect demonstration of this, because the fact that she is trying to say like this guy sucks at skiing and posting posting footage of the guy demonstrating expert level skiing is a perfect depiction of how fucking stupid racists are. Okay? Like, you can't, this is objectively higher level skiing. Like, he's literally attempting a trick. I can't ski like that. But because he's black and skiing is supposed to be like white people activities, she thinks that she can get away with being like, look at this fucking guy. Look at this fucking diversity on the slopes. Okay? Do you understand? Like, that's the funniest part. Racist people look at this and forget that, like, this is already, you know, this is like a high level action. This is not an easy thing to do, because they just hyper focus on the fact that he's black. Okay? And go, yeah, black people, they're not supposed to be there. They're not supposed to be doing that. That's why they're bad, right? Ha ha. Many such examples. Another example. Oh, first they call black folks lazy and on welfare. Now they throw a fit every time we get a job. Yeah. Hotep Jesus, retweet to scare a conservative grifter. Is Hotep Jesus switching lanes? What's happening? Oh yeah, I mean, he is a Hotep, so I guess he's like Hotep Jesus is like Ben Shapiro, like how Ben Shapiro rides for Israel and aligns with like Nazis on everything except for obviously anti-Semitic conspiracies that are not real, obviously, but still. Like, Ben Shapiro is like 99% Hitler except for tying everything back to like Jewish people. And Hotep Jesus is like Ben Shapiro, but I guess he just like disagrees with conservatives when it comes down to like disagrees with conservatives when it comes down to like DEI. That's funny. For those of you who don't know, Hotep Jesus is like a staple on the Laura Ingraham show. If you want to get a better understanding of like what his perspective is like, okay, he is a conservative grifter. Like Tariq Nasheed would not do. No. Dr. Umar or Tariq Nasheed would never engage in the shit that Hotep Jesus does. This is like, there are varying degrees of like, there are genuine major differences in black conservatism, and you guys are totally oblivious if you think that like I thought Hotep Jesus, given the limited interactions I've had, like the content that I've seen from him, I thought Hotep Jesus was like a Jason Whitlock or a Jesse Lee Peterson type of black conservative. Turns out it's not. He is like, he believes in all of the weird nonsensical bullshit that conservatives believe in, except he still rides for black people, I think, which I did not know. But like, for example, Tariq Nasheed or Dr. Umar, I don't think would ever align with conservatives at all. As far as like white supremacists, like they would not, I don't think they would go on like a white supremacist show. They would not do that. Important distinctions. Dr. Umar would never be around white people on purpose, except for if you're at a New Jersey mall and you're getting a phone number. You're right. From a cutie. I'd 100% start subscribing if you had Dr. Umar on the stream. I would love to have Dr. Umar on the stream. I love him. He is the GOAT. Yeah. Unless you're at Cherry Hill Mall. Dr. Umar already addressed those false allegations, brother. Stay woke. Yeah. False allegations. Yeah, listen, you don't understand. He was just getting her number to you know, tell her like, stay away from me. Be gone, white devil. Would you give Dr. Umar? Would I give Dr. Umar my phone number? Yes.
Falling for a CIA false flag operation meant to slander the good doctor. I thought you were better than this. As you guys know, Turks have actually played a significant role in Yakubian mythology. I believe Turks and Turkey was where the first, like, Yakub brought the first whites, right? I think, right? Didn't the Turks like? Didn't the Turks literally like? I think they were like the original people that were keeping the whites contained. What was it? Fuck. She chose a video with only him, by the way. Oh, that's right. I don't know if this is plain racism or baiting for views, but it's actually crazy how we got a whole group of white friends doing this with him, but she made sure to choose the single video with only him in it. Oh, dude. I mean, yeah. See, this is the funniest part about like debating racists. It's just like, we already know she's racist, but it's pretty funny. Like, that it's pretty funny to see the mentality behind like her trying to desperately find a clip that like only shows the black dude on the slopes. But yeah. What was this? I think General Monk ushered white people across the Bosphorus and forbade them returning across it. Yeah, and then General Monk, I think, like, told the Turks at the time, or whoever the fuck was there at the time, in like the Anatolian region, to like keep the white people contained. This feels made up. Excuse me, it's the real history of the world. Hello? Island of Patmos in Aegean. Yakub used selective breeding called grafting to create the white race while in his island fortress. Yeah. No, his army stayed and became Turkish. What is this, brother? What on earth are you talking about? How white people were invented by the evil Dr. Yakub? That's what I'm... And were enslaved for thousands of years. But then the white demons, the white devils came out. Oh, here it is, General Monk. I think this is it. Oh, this is it, yeah.
Dares to go next. Like General Monk orders to chop next. Like General Monk orders to chop next. Like General Monk orders to chop next.
No. This is good.
Orders to chop next.
This is good shit. This is really
It took Yakub 600 years to manufacture his tribe, pale evil albinoids on the Isle of Palon. And every
pale evil albinoids. By the way, you know, we got Turkey representation right there. This is where the albinoids are coming from, the Caucasians, my people.
Who is this strong-chinned brown
Handsome,
brother right here?
Handsome Squidward?
Yeah, with the nutsack head, with the afro drawn on the head.
I'm not entirely certain on. This is Yakub. This is Dr. Yakub. Bro, you need to get some black folk on for February. Yeah. The song got 1 degree of separation with Kanye West. I forgot about that, Lamau. I have 1 degree of separation with Elon Musk as well. Kind of weird to talk about, but kind of weird to think about. But yeah, anyway, God, I'm so ADHD and have like shifted the conversation to like 11 different degrees. Now, part of the reason why I talked about the racism and stuff was because I mean, I don't know why Pokimane is quitting Twitch, but it seems like she's quitting. The end of an era. Twitch has been my home for a decade. But it's time to say thank you for all the memories and love during my League, Fortnite, and Among Us days. Okay. Don't know what this means. I texted her. She did not respond. And it's not like she's fucking streaming on Twitch right now. So she probably has spare time to reply. But she's choosing not to. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But I suspect they should probably... Pokey seems like she's quitting streaming altogether. Yeah. I feel like she's probably not going to go to a different platform to stream. I think she's probably not streaming anymore. And it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense because... a lot of people don't really understand this, especially if you're just like kind of watching from afar. People think like Twitch streaming is glitz and glamour and like an endless sea of like $100 million contracts that people are giving you and showering you with praises as you just like sit there and watch other people's like hard worked YouTube content and offer zero commentary over it. And while the second part is true, I think what a lot of people don't recognize is that Twitch streaming has all of those components. That much is true, okay? But then it's also a sequence of just like having to withstand endless amounts of cyber stalking and cyber harassment. So, if you ask any other content creator that has like dipped their toes into streaming of any sort, okay, they will most likely tell you, I'm sure that you are being directly, literally harassed by people all day. Yes. So I suspect that that might play a role in this decision. I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for her. I'm sure she will explain it herself. But it's not just that Twitch is the most parasocial site. Hasan life is hard. No, I'm a very fortunate person, but let's be for real for a brief moment. Behind the scenes, everyone is completely aware of how at least other content creators are completely aware of like how ridiculous my haters are. Pokey has a lot of them as well. Oh, gee, guys, I'm getting millions a year, but chat is toxic. No, it's not just about like toxicity. And also, this is not a comparison between like a Twitch streamer and a person trapped in an Amazon distribution facility. I think like everybody understands that the person in the Amazon distribution facility is getting paid for backbreaking labor and is getting like meager wages for that backbreaking labor, and it sucks. When people talk about Twitch streaming in comparison to other forms of entertainment, we're just simply talking about other avenues of entertainment, like being a YouTuber, being a podcaster. If you want to talk about like online, being a TikToker, comparisons between different kinds of different facets of entertainment, online entertainment, being an e-celebrity, or even being a real celebrity. Okay, making her decision all about you. Bet you spam texted her. Her decision isn't about you, but like this is actually a perfect demonstration of what I mean. I think like I think that this kind of behavior, like making your 700th sock account, right, to come in here and do this kind of thing and like write this kind of shit in the chat and be so oblivious to the reality that like you're the one who is actually obsessed. This kind of behavior is literally like people in this community know that this is that one specific stalker. You know what I mean? Like this guy is so unimaginably obsessed. Okay? That like people in this community are aware of like this specific schizophrenic stalker, right? Like that's how regular this kind of interaction is. That while I was in the point of describing like how shitty Twitch streaming or just live streaming in general is in comparison to other forms of content creation online, a dude immediately demonstrated that. What are the fucking odds, right? If it wasn't so, if this wasn't like an endless sea of like cyber stalking, harassment, and a pattern of like incredibly obsessive, incredibly unhealthy behavior, okay? And then a defense of that kind of incredibly unhealthy, incredibly obsessive behavior, right? That's the other part of this process. That this is something that other people don't have to, like other content creators don't have to experience to the same degree. Does that make sense? Like,
That's just how it works. It is a Twitch especially, and like live streaming especially, lends itself to a lot of like parasocial behavior. Twitch in particular, but live streaming in particular is in comparison to like all other forms of content creation online, gets a shit ton more of this kind of behavior. Obviously, there are there are definitely upsides to Twitch streaming. Okay. But the reality is, like, you put out a YouTube video, it's very different than speaking for 10 hours a day. Okay. It's like you can craft your narrative perfectly, make it airtight. There's no like misspeaking. There's no like replying to someone in a way that comes across differently than your intentions. Right. And that's it. Would you be willing to share a few incidents on how chat or online negativity affected you on a personal level? If it makes you depressed or something, I think it would make us all understand at a personal, relatable level. No, I am not willing to share any incidents of that sort. So, I mean, I've talked about it before. There's a lot of like actionable death threats. There's a lot of doxing, a lot of swatting. Going around and like trying to make your life miserable. Trying to make your friends' lives miserable, stalking your friends, right? Like stalking any collaboration that you do. Like I did this Alveus collab, right? And immediately in the YouTube uploads of the Alveus collab, you got people being like, "This guy's a terrorist. He loves terrorism. Why are you working with this guy?" Like that level of behavior, unfortunately, is in the eyes of many online now, as we almost completely exist in the internet, is seen as like not the actions of a unhinged hater engaging in cyber stalking to that degree, but simply accountability. There is no real accountability there. It's just a deeply unhealthy person, right? It's not valid criticism. It's just a person shit stirring and smearing. Okay. In some ways, it's kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier with Matt Walsh, right? Like Matt Walsh does not give a shit about Somaliland or Ilhan Omar's perspective. He just sees Ilhan Omar as a black hijabi woman, a Somali refugee that is a U.S. congressperson, and he doesn't like that. And he says, go back to Africa, go back to your country. That's not a valid criticism. That's just pure unadulterated racism. But overall, I guess I will add the positive point here. Yeah. Accountability in this space of the internet is just a word people use to justify harassment. Exactly. Dog, stop engaging with these idiots or forget the Pokemon stuff. They're losers looking to get you off track. No, this is a good conversation to have that's like about a broader point. Okay? I'll end the conversation on a positive note though. Regardless of this kind of behavior, when people say, why don't you just like stop streaming and do YouTube videos or whatever? Okay. And that's because I love this community. Okay. I love the community that I've cultivated. I believe that there are plenty of people that have changed their attitudes over the course of the many years that I've been streaming. And I will continue to grow this community with the hopes that I can reach out to an even broader audience and change their minds as well, get them to see a different framework. And moments like the Alveus collab, where off the cuff, this community raises almost $30,000 for the Alveus Animal Sanctuary, is exactly why I continue doing the things I do. Okay?
That's it. That's why I do it. Also because I'm brain broken. You know what I mean? That's definitely part of it. It's because I'm completely brain broken. But yeah, that's it. That is the major reason. We raise a lot of money for a lot of fucking causes. We change a lot of lives, and I think that there is a reason why, despite the cyber stalking, the psychotic haters, and all this nonsense, which every content creator is aware of, by the way, which I think, in my opinion, makes it worse when a content creator eggs that on, especially because they're aware of it. XQC, Destiny, Trainwreck, Mizkif, Asmongold, Charlie, everyone is aware of it. Not saying that like all of these people are egging it on. Ludwig, Ethan. I'm not using these content creators' names as a placeholder for like someone who eggs it on. I'm simply stating that every single content creator knows exactly what this looks like behind the scenes. Okay, they see it. They're aware of it. This wasn't to name and shame. That's why I added like Ludwig, Cutie, people who are my friends as well into this list of names. Okay? Opening up to a large audience just brings hate, right? Don't you just ignore it though? Yeah. But of course, given Twitch streaming, given live streaming, okay? And the way that live streaming is done, with the constant back and forth interaction being a fundamental part of this process, it is impossible. It is impossible to just like avoid it, because there are many different mechanisms of like continuing that harassment and cyber stalking, for example. So that's something to consider always when we're talking about this sort of thing. It is virtually impossible to ignore it. Unlike the top of the hour ad break. Yes, that's right. Everybody woke up when I said avoid. The same goes for all the assets on Twitter. On the Fear and post with Steak and Eggs, I was excited to see you and Will collaborate and awesome with the OTK crew, as I'm a fan of all of you. Comments filled with negativity is dumb. Yeah. I think that it's probably a little bit easier to avoid the negativity if you are not a live streamer. That's my point. And most content creators that are YouTubers, TikTokers, whatever, that have at least like dipped their toes in the live streaming space are completely aware of this as well. They will openly and readily admit it, both off camera and also on camera as well. By the way, here's the 3-minute ad break now. So I think that it just takes a toll. That's it. It takes a toll on a lot of people. You know? It takes a mental toll. That mental toll can turn into a physical toll. It weighs on your consciousness. Right? So that's the reason why I think a lot of people have a... Yeah, Brace Belden said it was wild you tortured yourself through all this on TrueAnon. That's what I mean. 34 MKD50, thank you for the 50, get the subs. Yeah, that's why when you see like podcasters or whatever interact with me, they go, what the fuck? This is the most maddening thing I've ever seen in my life. Right? The degree of separation that you can have with your audience when you don't have real-time feedback is actually phenomenal. Adam said the exact same thing too. Grimes, of all people, thought I was crazy. Yeah. Like, these are also in the world of entertainment, and they recognize that this is fucking crazy. So, make no mistake, I'm not saying, oh man, my life is so hard. I'm not saying that at all, right? I have a wonderful community. I am incredibly fortunate, okay? Incredibly fortunate. Something that I reiterate
all the time. So much so that people will always say, "Oh, he's not demonstrating humility, he's flexing." It's like, "No, I'm recognizing my conditions." Okay? But that, of course, is not a justification for like an endless sequence of harassment. But if you're wondering why a lot of streamers end up leaving, it's not because like they got the bag and now they're done. I'm sure they love content creation. That's why a lot of people start doing it. Okay. Nobody, like most people don't start content creation because they're like, I'm going to get the bag doing this. Okay. Unless they're one of those like weird right wing podcasters who's like, I'm going to create a Discord server. Right. There are, even if you think that you will inevitably make money, you oftentimes have like a much more important reason for wanting to do this. Important as in like a much more powerful reason for wanting to do this, let's say. Okay? It can be wanting to entertain people, wanting to all I'm hearing is the song wants to play more games with the boys. That is true. It can be more to entertain people, make people laugh, make people educate people. It can even be something as stupid as, and I've talked about this already before, wanting to get better at like live broadcasting or communicating your ideas in front of a live audience uninterrupted when all you've done, for example, is green screen videos that you pre-wrote, that you're reading off of a teleprompter. That was one of my major motivations as to why I started this, right? Ludwig's new video goes over the numbers and also the more existential purposes
I made a
of
video
streaming.
3 years.
Existential purposes of what? Streaming? Were you one of the guys he asked? Yeah, I did answer these questions, and I said he can put my name on it if he wants to. So that's it. And put your name last, lol. That's nice. Honestly, the most disappointing part of Pokey's tweet and this idea about leaving Twitch is how we didn't run the top of the hour ad break. Nandre Ari just ran it. So, yeah, you missed it. So yeah, that's it. That's my point. And I understand why a lot of people end up quitting or feeling burnt out. Pokey's been at this game for a very, very long time, right? She's been doing this for years. She's a industry giant, a powerhouse. She has been a lightning rod for the worst kinds of harassment and stalking and like ritualistic abuse that especially women receive. You know what I mean? And that's there's definitely like a double standard. Pokey might be going to YouTube. What? I doubt it. Do you think the cookies was the last straw? Probably not. You're being absolutely unintelligible, thinking that people like Pokey, a person that has literally been cyberstalked, threatened, constantly hated for being a woman and famous on Twitch, has it rough just because of the simple reason of being a woman. Impossible, shaking my head. Especially with the fact that incels constantly attack her. Yeah, I don't think so, shaking my head. What? Oh, I can't. I think you're being sarcastic, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what her situation is, but I can think about it from that perspective. But yeah, no, it definitely is you know, all of the things that I just mentioned. I have often, like, everyone in this space knows how fucking diabolically unhinged my stalkers and haters are and how ride or die they are, right? Like, they'll go to lengths that you would normally think is just like insane. Like in any other circumstance, in any other normal circumstance where I'm not a Twitch streamer, I guess, you would be like, this is the most insane thing that you've ever done. Or even a large Twitch streamer. If I was like a 300 Andy and like this level of operations was going on, which of course it was when I was a person with only 300 followers, but it's been going since like the TYT days. In every other circumstance, you would recognize it as like, this is unhinged. Okay? This is completely unhinged. Within the normie sphere, it is also completely unhinged. right? And there's not really too much you can do about it because it's new. Don't you think it's part of the game though? That doesn't excuse it. I think that it definitely. Do you think that content about content is boring? Chat be nuanced, challenge, impossible. I do think that content about content can be boring. You know, but this is a, I guess, pivotal moment. That's why I brought this up. I saw that really old Chad video the other day, and it's like you're an entirely different person. It's wild. What do you mean? I'm not an entirely different person, I don't think. I guess if you just got burnt out on streaming, I can see you just hanging out. Seems like you'd likely just end up working back something like TYT or Majority Report. Then again, a sabbatical would probably feel great from time to time. I've never really seriously contemplated quitting live streaming until this past year, I would say. And the only thing I've thought about if I were to quit live streaming in general would most likely be like going back to college. You know? And just like getting a PhD or something. It's probably what I would do. But most likely not going to happen. Because I still enjoy it, and I still think that there is a lot of impact, a lot of positive impact here. And that's it. That's my take. Anyway. Got any thoughts on the recent content creators quitting? Is it just because of the hate? I think that for Twitch, for everyone really, I think that it has become like a business. When I first started on Twitch, I feel like the environment was less business focused. Nowadays, it's like all business focused, right? Ads, sponsorships, all this stuff, collaborations, like every aspect of this process is no longer as organic and as friendly. I think that plays a role in it for Twitch at least. And I assume that like you know, for YouTubers it's similar as well. And beyond that, I don't know. It probably gets boring. Like for MatPat, think about it. This dude is like almost 40, right? Like he probably doesn't want to make content about like children things into his 40s with like a child, right? Like he can't fake it. So that's probably a part of it. You know? So I think that's where it comes from. Here, let's look at...
A couple of months ago, I made the decision to quit.
Retire.
I'm taking a break.
It's not clickbait.
Things are changing.
I am bringing them to an end.
If I'm honest with you guys, don't want to do this anymore.
Now it's time to take a breather.
I'll be handing off the channels.
Full-time filmmaker has been acquired.
This era of polyphonic is over.
It is the correct decision.
And it's time to move on.
I mean, I think what PewDiePie did is kind of the peak, right? He was dominant. He was at the top. He fucked off to Japan, had a kid, and just like chills, makes videos casually and just chills. That's it. That is the perfect way. You know what I mean? Isn't it a good thing that a lot of these creators are able to retire? Certainly. But I think that there is like a lot of the reasons as to why people are retiring is because they're like burned out.
In the last few months, and especially since the new year, each of these channels has posted some form of goodbye video. It's been really interesting to see, and I just want to take a few minutes to talk about it. I'll be using clips from some of them throughout the episode, so make sure to show your support by watching on their channels as well. I've left links in the description. What I and a lot of others have noticed about these goodbyes is they all have a lot in common. There are a handful of factors that each of these creators mention. work-life balance, loss of joy and creativity, and though they might not use the word, each of them mentioned some aspect of alienation. I'm not going to say, ooh, it's all capitalism, because there is more to it than that, but it does make a lot of these problems worse, as you'll see in a bit. Anyway, I think let's start with work-life balance. Take a listen.
For as much as I love you, and I love overthinking things, and I love theorizing, I don't love late nights. I don't love the fact that Steph and I have been work first for over a decade, where I'm sitting down at dinner with my best friend, and we're talking about business logistics.
If I get that feeling, you ever had that feeling?
Let me tell you something. For me, what I do in particular, I am able to add variety into everything that I'm doing, right? If I get bored of like constantly talking about politics and the monotony of like the day in, day out of just like not being able to experience any kind of fucking real world change from all of this commentary, I could just fuck off and go to Austin like I did, right? I can do IRL streams. I can play video games. Like the obviously when you compare this to the average person does not have that opportunity. Okay? The average person does not have that opportunity. Okay? They don't. The average person is cooked. Significantly higher levels of alienation from their labor, no control over their own lives or their own destiny in any meaningful capacity, constantly doing route tasks on a daily basis that someone else has assigned to them. Okay? So make no mistake, obviously there is a tremendous amount of privilege here for content creators in general. So when I talk about content creators, I think like I'm just simply giving you an insider's perspective on what it looks like. Do you even need to work anymore? You could just chill and open a business or something. That's what I mean. If I wanted to, technically, I could just like dump every fucking dollar I've ever made into the stock market and most likely make my capital accumulate on its own. Okay? Yeah, I could just like quit and do that. The system literally is designed for me to do that. Okay? The system is straight up designed for me to do this. Okay? And that's what many of these content creators have done as well. They've like created a nest egg for themselves, figured out a way to like, streamline this process or potentially still generate revenue while they, I guess, quote unquote, kind of retire. Okay. And I don't know. I like this. These people typing poor millionaires can't compartmentalize that you can feel empathetic towards their struggles without mitigating the struggles of other people who don't have these opportunities. Yeah. People think you need to suffer for your job to be considered a job. Yeah, it is sad. Anyway, let's continue.
When you're like, oh, I'm with family right now, but I need to get back to the office, or I should take, lunch to work, or whatever it is. I want to stop that. I want to completely eliminate that.
I can't keep this up. This is my dream job, and I have a lot of fun doing it. I know I'm incredibly lucky, but a dream job is still a job, and it's a job that keeps getting bigger and more complicated, and I am so tired. There's nothing in my life right now except work.
But in reality, it just put me in a constant state of stress and work, and now I'm always at work. My home is work. A vacation should become a vlog. Every TV show I watch and song I hear should be turned into some sort of content. Like, I shouldn't be relaxing right now, I should be making content, and it just isn't possible for me to turn that mindset off. And I realized this is not how I want to live any longer.
I don't get any satisfaction from the type of work that I do here anymore. And if you work 7 days a week...
Damn, this is like brutal. When placed back to back to back, this shit is like actually unironically brutal. Holy moly. I didn't even realize it was I didn't realize it was like that. Can't these people just cut back on the amount of content they make? I mean, they have the opportunity not to, okay? They like, think about it this way. A lot of these guys are sitting on a fucking mountain of gold. Okay, like the proverbial dragon. And even then, there's like constantly more gold is being showered upon them. And even then, they're like, yeah, fuck this, dude. I'm done. I can't do this shit. And it feels like there's something there. That's not true. No, dude. In comparison to like the average person, are you kidding me? It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable, dude. I'll tell it to you like this. Even with, like, I was my first my first big merch drop, I made more money than like every fucking year prior in like the real professional space. Okay? And that's with insanely small margins in comparison to like how much money people make off of merchandising in general. Think about that. Like, and that's with hundreds of thousands of dollars that I raised funds for donations on top of that too. Okay? What I'm saying is, it's not like they're giving up everything. Oh, that's, yeah, okay. I thought you said that's not true, that they don't make a lot of money. They do. A lot of people make a lot of money in comparison to the fucking, in comparison to the average Joe. That's my point.
Week, that becomes very heavy mentally. For the past 10 years of my life, there has not been a single vacation where I was not working. There has even been times where I was working on Christmas Day. And don't
By the way, that was a testament to not just how much money like one merch drop makes, but more so a testament to how little money you make when you're working in the professional world. You know what I mean? Like my first year working for the Young Turks, I made $21,000. Okay. By the time I was out of the Young Turks, I was making 60 grand a year in fucking Los Angeles, chat. Okay. That's like 4 years of working at TYT, which was a startup at the time, a tiny startup at the time for a fucking YouTube network. Okay. Living in, yeah, pre-tax. But when you're making 21K pre-tax, doesn't matter. You get money from the government at the end of the year, okay? So that doesn't mean shit. My point is like that salary is especially impossible to fucking live with in a place like Los Angeles. All right? Also, when you've reached a certain point of stability, you can allow yourself to question if what you do is making you happy. Their situation isn't necessarily unique to do them being content creators, but they have the ability to examine their situation and publicly discuss it. Do you ever feel the same way about having to turn everything into content? Every vacation, every trip, does that take a toll? No, because I like it. I enjoy it. That's the point. Like my favorite trips were Japan because I had like such a streamlined approach to creating content and had incredibly unique experiences that I was able to share with other people. That for me is peak. That's the best possible experience I can have on vacation. I don't actually enjoy it when I'm I don't actually enjoy it as much when I'm like, I guess, on vacation with my family and I'm not doing anything with it. I feel like it's just not great.
Even get me started on New Year's Eve because I hated it when it was getting too late because I wanted to be fit the next day to work again.
Work-life balance, the pinnacle of achievement throughout history. Since the very first caveman enslaved his neighbor, we've been fighting to secure a decent balance between the time we spend at work and the time we have for leisure.
Oh, the only thing I'm saying is this, okay? If they truly weren't fucking burning out, if they truly... What? How did you afford a place? I literally lived in the kitchen of a frat house. So no, I did not afford a place at $21,000 a year, chatter, to answer your question. That's not even a joke. Also, after that, I had a shit ton of roommates. You know what I mean? Once you're rich, isn't burning out pretty much voluntary? Yeah, I think so. I get what you're trying to say. I understand what you're saying. I think there's like some truth to that. But my point is this. These guys make so much money and have basically like an endless supply of making even more money with the content that they're creating. So their burnout must be real. It's the only difference is that because they are privileged enough. What? Black people, Africa, Nigeria. Nigeria is a good country to visit. Nigeria. What do you think about black people? Okay, take 30 minutes off, chat. Why are we assuming Pokemon is burnt out and quitting? I'm not saying Pokemon is burnt out and quitting. I'm just simply talking about a broader subject. I'm sure she will reveal why she's quitting. Okay? Or even if she is quitting or not. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. She didn't respond to me, so. All right, let's
Friends,
continue.
family, recovering to go back to work. You've probably seen that old image from when people were fighting for an 8-hour workday. 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for what we will.
That's because you're a workaholic. I think these YouTube types are never that kind of person. That's why they started making YouTube videos instead of normal career paths. Not to say that JC's analysis is wrong. Or you mean JT's analysis. I am definitely a workaholic. For sure. That part is true. I love having a structure. I love having something to do. That is, it definitely keeps me very much, it keeps me very much, you know, alive, I guess. That's it. There's a reason why I am one of the very few Twitch streamers who's like so consistent. Because Twitch streaming is not supposed to be consistent. You just kind of do it for fun. And you don't have to have like any kind of like professional approach to it for the most part. And that's not how Twitch streamers start. And that's not how YouTubers start either. Whereas like I have had this same approach since day one that as soon as I went full time on Twitch streaming, I was like, every day I'm going to be doing this 7 days a week. I'm going to be live. I'm going to be live at the same. I'm going to be live at the same time, and I'm going to be doing like the same structure, right? I need that. I need that to function. I need to be able to do that.
That sounds pretty nice.
Cannot say that Matt Pat isn't a workaholic though. Bro was working all the time. No, I think so. I think he was too. I'm sure. Some of these YouTubers are, some of them are not. But let's continue.
These days, 8 hours of work just doesn't really cut it for most people. And believe it or not, that goes for YouTubers too, and we'll get to that in a sec. A growing number of Americans work more than one job, and some 400,000 work 2 full-time jobs, just to make ends meet. Everything from housing, to groceries, to utilities is getting more expensive, and the only thing that's not going up is wages. You've heard it before, but if the minimum wage had just kept up with inflation and productivity gains since the Reagan years, it'd be over $24 an hour today. But here in the richest country on earth, the federal minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour. It's hard to have a decent work-life balance when the hours you work don't earn you enough money, so you have to take on more work. YouTube is similar, but there's an added layer of complexity. Caleb makes a point in his video that I think a lot of people don't realize about YouTube as a career. Your input doesn't necessarily equal your output. You can put a ton of work into a video and make way less money than you did with a half-assed video. That's very different from other jobs. Exploitation aside, yes, obviously everyone should be making more money. But in general, with traditional work, if you put in more hours, you're financially rewarded for that. If you're in sales and you put in an extra 10 hours a week, you sell a couple more cars, you make more money. If you do hourly work, add a few hours to your schedule, you make more money. If you work freelance and you take on another gig, you make more money. On YouTube, you could add 30 hours a week and not see a cent in extra income. In fact, you could see the complete opposite and have your revenue tank for what seems like no reason at all. So, it's not surprising that just about every YouTuber says they have a bad work-life balance. You're constantly worried that if you don't feed the algorithm, you won't be able to pay the bills. This is one of the core features of capitalism. You work or you starve. And on YouTube, sometimes you work and you still starve. That uncertainty is draining in a way that is difficult for a lot of people to understand. But the money aspect is only part of the work-life balance thing. When you're a YouTuber, you have work at your fingertips 24/7. Much like Ken's job is just beach, my job is just phone. YouTube is right here, all the time, in my pocket. I'll just have a quick peek, just one little peek. I swear, one more peek, just one look. It becomes all-consuming. You can't escape. It gets so bad sometimes that I'll be running errands and I'll check YouTube Studio when I'm stopped at a red light. You also have to stick to a schedule religiously, or people forget you in a month. I upload here every other Friday at 9 a.m. Central Time. The program is every Friday. First Thought News episodes are every Monday and Wednesday. Analysis episodes are every other Friday. And my new channel is every other Friday, staggered with Second Thought. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy a lot of this. Yeah, it's a job, and sometimes I just want to throw my computer out the window. But YouTube is still a dream job for me. I like sharing things with people and being creative. But that's where we run into another problem.
My whole life just turned to this business, and it's all fun when you get to make videos, but not when you're managing a business and constantly doing tasks that you just don't.
Yes, dude, this is exactly why whenever people are like, Hassan, why don't you do this? Why don't you expand? Why don't you hire more people? Blah, blah, blah. You think I don't know how like I can grow this business in a sustainable fashion? I do. But that's the part of the reason why I have this like insane workload is because I don't want to be a manager. I am not a good manager. I don't want to be a manager. I don't want to manage people. It sucks. Okay? I think a lot of people don't realize, like, yeah, sure, these guys are really fortunate, but they're also, they're business owners, but they're also doing tasks that you don't want. Try a real job. Yeah, I know. No one is saying that what these guys are doing is harder than being a fucking dock worker or working at an Amazon distribution facility. I hope you understand that. Okay? The only difference, however, in this circumstance is that for them, they're also not only just owners of a business, but they're worker owners. Okay? So in a way, I kind of see it as like a small business owner who's like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to pack up shop, but I'm going to get other people to work for me. It's kind of like that. Does that make sense? I feel like that is what's going on here. Like the way that they're approaching this is like that a little bit.
Like to do. I miss to be creative. I really miss that so much.
One thing I use as an analogy is kind of like a contractor building houses. When you first start, you know, you're loving it, you're building houses, you're making money, you're doing your thing. But after a certain point, you kind of develop things you enjoy and things you don't enjoy about something. And when it comes to making a video, if that's a house, you look at your next video that you need to do because it's your job and you don't want to pour
I like people that say get a real job that are also the same people who talk about how if AI can replace you, you didn't have a job worth having. Yeah. Well, you know, it's not very
another foundation. You don't want to frame out the whole house. You can see all of the work ahead of you and you just don't want to do it. Throw in all that other fun stuff we already talked about and you have kind of this mess. And so that
is your hesitation around being a manager while the producer role is a stretch goal. Keeping overhead low is so important. Makes sense to me. It's I don't want to manage someone, and I also don't want to be like, I don't want someone's entire life to be me. You know what I mean? I feel like that's so much. I already have like people that I work with that rely on me. And every time I add another person, it's like a tremendous amount of pressure. Because it's such an important responsibility. And I don't ever want to get to a point like I care about sustainability. That's what I mean. You guys remember that that clip that goes around all the time of me being like, oh, I live on bare necessities or something, or whatever the fuck it is. It's been bastardized so many times. What I was actually trying to make a point there was about why I don't like engage in capital accumulation or grow, because I care about sustainability. Okay. I care about sustainability, not like permanent growth, because I feel like permanent growth and permanent revenue strategies, okay, permanent growth and permanent revenue strategies, in my opinion, and shifting your focus to that, in my opinion, creates this like incredibly unsustainable environment around your business. You know, it's just a cancerous dynamic, is a cancerous attitude. Like, do you think I could not collaborate with all of these other content creators, whether it be YouTube, whether it be other, you know, content creators that I collaborate with, or March? Like, March's a great example, right? Like, in another circumstance, in another in like how this normally works would be like, I would just give him a salary, okay, be a salaried employee, and it wouldn't be it would not be, you know, tied to the amount of revenue that we're generating, all this kind of stuff, right? Like, and that way I could make a shit ton more money for myself. I could have just taken a shit ton more of the revenue that we're creating. If my goal was to just like generate revenue, that's what I would do. I would just like hire someone, pay them above market rates, okay, and just keep growing and keep growing and keep growing and grow and grow and grow. But I don't want to do that. I think it's not the right way to do it. As someone in tech field, lots of small companies end up failing and getting worse because they all grow, or the point it becomes a mess. Yeah. I like when you talk about socialism in real life context as opposed to doing only politics. Yeah, that's my point. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I am explaining. Like, for example, okay? Twitch. Massively successful company, gets bought out by Amazon for $1 billion. Major company, grows, and during COVID, during the peak of COVID, people go crazy because like growth projections are off the charts. Amazon says, here's a wad of cash, grow. And then now look at them. They had to fire a shit ton of employees, right? Because now Amazon's like, never mind, you grew too much. And it's becoming unsustainable for us. Like, those are real people that lost their jobs. I don't want to be in that situation. Right? Patreon would have been better if they didn't aim for extraordinary growth. Now they're crumbling. Exactly. I don't know how you can convince people, though, to separate persona from your IRL life. Like, you're not an insane person committed to socialism, just an ideology. No, but like, the other part of this is that, like, I think I run a very ethical, in my own moral framework. I think I am, yes, I think I abide by the standards that I apply to others 100%. And I think that the world would be better if more people were like this. But ultimately, I guess, the reason why I'm mentioning all this is because why Patreon would have been better. The reason why I'm mentioning all this is because, like, it just ruins that permanent growth model, ruins people. Like, for all of his, I guess, political associations that I very publicly have disagreed with, I think what PewDiePie did was great. Right? Like, not the politics side, but as a pure content creator, what he did was right. What he did was the good thing. Right? He just has like one editor or two editors or whatever the fuck, and he just did his own goddamn thing. He just kept doing his own thing and consistently still does his own thing, and was able to retire and just, like, you know, keeps making his own content from afar, right? Does that make sense? Anyway, From a business perspective, if you wanted to expand sustainably without creating dependency, you can create new pods or channels with others helming that you could break off if you get burnt out on it. If you're trying to explain the position of CEO, sure. Admit it, you like PewDiePie because he's ripped and hot. I think PewDiePie being ripped and hot plays a role in my assessment. I will admit this. It's hard for me to, sit here and lie to you and act like that does not play a role. It certainly does play a role, okay? Fuck. Anyway,
That's where I'm kind of at, or have been at.
I feel like everything online is slowly converging towards a boring, bland, gray middle point where everyone just tries to maximize retention, views, and this metric and that statistic, which just leads everyone to like the same end product, and it's become beyond saturated. For me and my own creativity, I just don't enjoy where this is going.
So, creativity and homogenization. This is another challenge under capitalism. We are all unwilling subjects of the profit motive. YouTube is an inherently creative job. You're producing art or content or entertainment or whatever you want to call it, but your base consideration has to be financial stability. There's a reason most YouTubers don't do it full time, and those that do have to supplement their income with Patreon, link below, please, love of God, link below, or sponsorships, or sell.
What you were describing by talking about sustainability is actually what some old small business owner right wing actually want, but are too dumb to understand it. Yeah, I think so.
Selling LUT packs or
like it makes me doing this makes me happy. Okay, you know what wouldn't make me happy if I was doing other shit. Growth would require me to do other shit, specifically managing others, managing their behavior, managing like my expectations from them. I don't want to do that. That's a totally different thing that I'm not good at. That's why I would always laugh at people when they were like, hey, Hassan, why don't you build a cooperative? Which I, of course, ironically ended up building, by the way. And those guys didn't shut the fuck up about it. They're like, oh, you claim to be a socialist, but here you are not building a cooperative. I did. And now they're still fucking chirping. Turns out, guys, their commentary did not revolve around like holding me to account to maintain an ethical business. Okay?
Online classes. When you're doing YouTube as a side project, you can afford to make the videos you want. But when this is your full-time gig, like it is for people making these goodbye videos, your art has to take a back seat to putting food on the table. That's a tough pill to swallow for people who are genuinely invested in creating artistic or thoughtful things for their audience to enjoy. No one starts out making money on YouTube. It is always first a labor of love. But as soon as your channel gets verified, the calculus changes. Now you have to figure out, okay, do I want to keep this as a side project, or do I want to build this into something that can pay the bills? And even if you decide on the former, sometimes your channel will grow and become financially stable anyway. And then it's really hard to turn down leaving your dead-end job to focus more on the work you enjoy, which then becomes a job, which then requires you to play by the rules of the YouTube game to continue growing, staying relevant, and making a living. It's the trap pretty much every successful channel falls into. But there's another aspect of creativity under capitalism that's worth exploring. There's this concept called enshittification, sometimes called platform decay, coined by writer Cory Doctorow in November of 2020.
Good faith question. Why can't these YouTubers hire more staff to help them? Money, complexity. I think they already have. I low-key, or I guess not low-key, but high-key think that the reason why they're quitting is because they have hired more staff. And the dynamic of their content creation has shifted away from being a pure content creator and doing it for fun to a manager, a business owner, a CEO, if you will. And that shit's boring as hell. Okay? Now, of course, that's me. That's my assessment on it. I might be totally off base here, okay? I might be completely wrong. Well, they're getting paid for it. No, I know. The difference, by the way, the difference is like these guys have the opportunity to be able to like publicly quit. Do you see what I'm saying? Like quit and still make money. They're just informing their audience that like they're going to take a back seat and they don't want to like keep being the face of the product. You know what I mean? Are you not afraid of not growing in some ways that will make your project fizzle out? Not really. I don't know. I have the capacity to adapt to my circumstances. I think that like you know, the numbers that I'm at right now, 21,000, are actually around 10K lower than where I was for the past couple of years at this point. My average was around 30K. Now my average is around 20K. Back in the day, this would have like absolutely wrecked me, destroyed my brain. I would have been so sad. And at first I was actually upset about it, but I adapted. You know what I mean? That's it. It's like, it's my mentality. Your numbers increase a lot during election time? No. And people say, "Oh, it's election time. It'll be better, buddy. I promise." Like blah blah blah. It's like it doesn't even matter. It don't even matter. Right? It's just like the election season is very boring, and it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be the way that people think it is. How does 30K versus 20K factor in total unique viewers, not just concurrence? People are growing older and getting into more demanding jobs. Yes. I think like part of the reason why my numbers have gotten smaller this past year is because one, election cycle, boring, nobody cares. Two, people don't really watch as much. Like people don't watch streamers as much as they used to, obviously. And last but not least, one of the more important factors is that people get older, they cycle out. A lot of people do stay because of the nature of the content that I make. But if you don't have a steady supply of newcomers to the fold that you're bringing in through collaborations and other things, your audience is going to inevitably burn out as well. This is like burnout is not just on the Twitch streaming side. Even the Twitch watchers burn out usually. Sometimes they go to other content creators, or sometimes they just leave the platform altogether inevitably, right? And I think that one way to obviously get ahead of that would be by making more content on other avenues like YouTube and TikTok and whatnot, which is why you see a lot of the growth on this platform. The new content creators on this platform are those who have popped off big time on YouTube Shorts, like that pirate guy, or those who have popped off big time on TikTok, like Handsome Fella, Jinxie, KCO, these guys, Kai even. Like these are people that have a steady flow of like constantly reminding people like, I'm here, I'm live, this is what I'm doing. Isn't that crazy? And I think that's what it is. The pirate software guy, yeah. I think that's where it comes from.
22. Enshittification refers to the tendency of online platforms like Amazon, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube to act as a predatory, two-sided market. Here's how Dr. O describes the process. Here is how platforms die. First, they are good to their users. Then, they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for...
So you're saying you turn from a political streamer to a variety streamer as it doesn't matter? What? No, I was always a variety streamer. What I'm saying is when I get burned out of like the consistent politics, when it like starts impacting me, I can always like tune my content to... I can always tune my content back to like more fun shit.
For themselves. Then they die. I call this enshittification, and it's a seemingly inevitable consequence arising from the combination of the ease of changing how a platform allocates value, combined with the nature...
Think about it this way. I started the process today, and there were dudes immediately coming in and going, dude, you have to talk about Israel. Israel went into a hospital in Jenin. Israel went into a hospital in Jenin. You have to talk about it. I said, no. I put my foot down, and I said, this is what I want to do first, and then I'll eventually get to it. Right? Which I will. But I think this like that's something to understand. Like this shit is boring as hell. All right. Well, sorry, Vinny Kitty. I know you're a 21-month subscriber. Of course, your brain is permanently broken. You want content, you want politics, and you want it now. I get it. But you know, I will get to it.
of a two-sided market, where a platform sits between buyers and sellers, hold each hostage to the other, raking off an ever larger share of the value that passes between them. The internet is full of examples of this form of decay. Google search used to simply return results to the best of its ability based on the parameters you gave it. Now the whole first page of results is ads and websites full of articles that are 90% SEO phrases. Amazon...
Yeah, this part is really bad. This is like the dead... This is, I think, the most prescient part of the dead internet theory, is that it's just like we have found out ways of manipulating parts of the internet that simply used to work, and now not so much, right? Like, kind of doesn't work. And it has made everything just worse overall.
Amazon shows you a dozen sponsored items before you get to the real results. TikTok and Instagram are specifically tailored to keep you scrolling and consuming. YouTube is a prime example of this form of decay. First, it was a place for normal people to publish silly videos. Then it attracted investment and advertisers. Then it changed how the platform works to maximize revenue generation and encourage content that plays by those rules. And now it's running an ad block blocker to really crack down on any lost revenue and force people to pay for YouTube Premium to stop the incessant advertising. And none of this is evil. It's just the logical conclusion of a neoliberal capitalist system. Every platform is a market, everything must have a dollar value attached, and consumption is a lifestyle. So it's no surprise that big channels that have grown with the platform are noticing this trend and are disgusted by it. There's no room for creativity when everything has
I feel like a lot of libs showed their ass and stopped watching you because of the Palestine genocide. Yeah, sure.
to be scripted, edited, and
too.
presented for attention above all else. That's how we ended up with Mr. Beast. He plays the game perfectly, and his videos are disgusting and devoid of any actual value beyond being used as slop for the content trough. And hey, look, no hate for people who just want to watch Mr. Beast run some deranged game show. That's your prerogative. But for the people who started out making beautiful things for the sake of making beautiful things, this trend of enshittification is really disheartening. And kind of along those lines is the alienation aspect of all this. At the end of the day, it's you against the all-consuming maw of the internet. YouTube is still such a niche career that there are so incredibly few people who actually understand what it's like to do this. It's lonely, it's stressful, it's scary. Strip away all the frills, and at its core, YouTube is an altar on which you lay yourself at the mercy of a billion people. You play for the crowd. You make a spectacle.
How does Mr. Beast not get burned out? Dude, I think he's a freak too. Like, you know how I'm a freak and I find a lot of emotional fulfillment from what I do? I think he's a freak in the way that he finds a lot of emotional fulfillment from what he does as well. Because it makes no goddamn sense. But he's also very young too. You're right. You're right. M. Hood's right. He is very young. Something we forget about Mr. Beast is that he's literally like 24 or something. Like, he's crazy young.
Of yourself. You know there are buzzards out there waiting to turn your next video into drama content. You know who you are. You are at the center.
Damn.
To do this. It's lonely. It's stressful. It's scary. Strip away all the frills, and at its core, YouTube is an altar on which you lay yourself at the mercy of a billion people. You play for the crowd. You make a spectacle of yourself. You know there are buzzards out there waiting to turn your next video into drama content. You know who
he's right.
You are. You are at the center of hundreds, thousands, millions of views, and yet you're completely alone. None of these people know you. None of them see the work that goes on behind the scenes. It's you and your camera and your laptop. That's not how humans were meant to function.
Yeah, Mr. Beast is like one of the unique people that, like, I think genuinely enjoys the growth and the business aspect of what he does. That's what I meant when I said he gets emotional fulfillment out of what he's doing. Does that make sense? You guys understand? Not a lot of motherfuckers are like that, okay? Especially in the YouTube space. He does. I get a lot of emotional. He is like pure distillation of like capitalism for the sake of capitalism. Like, he just likes it. He enjoys it. Look, for me, number go up is good. Okay, getting showered with praise, great. Of course, that feels good. But overall, the major component here that offers me emotional fulfillment, that I derive a lot of emotional fulfillment out of, is the fact that I feel like I'm doing something that is worth a damn. Okay, I feel like if I change one person's mind, if I can get one more person to be charitable to like trans people, even though they were originally transphobic. Like, that's my goal. That's what I do. And that's what I do well. If I can get one person that is like super rad lippy, for example, that turns around and is like no longer as aggressive, okay? No longer as like aggro and uncharitable in the way that they analyze other people, okay? Then that's the good thing. That's what I want to do. I want to like soften people's edges a little bit on that front.
Damn, this guy's good.